Hi guys, welcome to another live stream with me. I'm Dr. Sylvia, a general practitioner and health educator. This is the first live stream of 2023, so Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining me. And this show is called 30 Minutes with Dr. Sylvia. And well, if you've been part of our live streams before, not much of a change. I just wanted to give it a little bit of a refresh. So a bit of a difference in terms of a name and what we're going to be doing on our live streams. So the first thing is that we're going to have shorter live streams, particularly targeted at the questions that you guys are asking on the channel. So yes, this is the opportunity to chat with me, to send in a question that you want covered, and then we can talk about things. We can look at the treatments or solutions or whatever on a live stream. So that's how it's going to run. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, where are you watching me from? If you've got a question, let me know. And as you can tell from the title for today's live stream, we are talking about the Depo shot. And this is a question that was sent in by a viewer of the channel just in the last couple of days. So I'm just going to put it up so that I can read it and you can read along as I go through the question as well. So here it is. This is the question that we're dealing with today. And while I bring that up and I just keep that on the screen, guys, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Really important that we are sharing the video, sharing the information with as many people as we can. So this is the question we're tackling today. In the next 25 to 30 minutes, hopefully we should be able to cover as much of the information as we can. So the question says, I got my last Depo shot on the 1st of June 2022, still waiting for cycles to return. I'd love to know why there's still a delay after the hormone itself has left the body after 6 months. Is there anything that can help get fertility to return after this stage? This is a very, very common scenario, but I love the way the question is put here, because this really drives it home. It really bangs the nail on its head. This is the question that we all want to know about. The best way to deal with this, I always say to any of our ladies who are thinking about using the Depo shot, is have this information in your head beforehand so that it determines if you want to carry on with the Depo or you want to look for another method, because more likely than not, you are going to be spending some time waiting for your fertility to return after you stop the Depo shot. But apart from accepting that or being aware of that, this lady wants to know, why does this happen? And we're going to try and see if there are any reasons that we are aware of at this point as to why you still have a delay, even though we said that the Depo has left your system, even though it's no longer able to prevent you from getting pregnant, even though we say you cannot rely on it for contraception. So why is your period still delayed? And is there anything that you can do to help get your fertility back quicker? Okay, so that's the question that we're tackling on the stream today, and we're going to be doing it in under 30 minutes. Okay, so let's begin. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comment section as well what your experience has been with Depo or any other form of contraception. You know that on AskAwayHealth, we talk a lot about birth control methods, how they affect us, the different questions around different birth control methods that we have. These are things that we cover, as well as other aspects of women's health. So let's just get into this question. I will move this for a moment and then bring it back later on just so we can remind ourselves. So we're talking about the Depo shot, Depo-progesterone. This is the injection birth control method, very popular, but women do have different experiences. So you can have one extreme where people are very happy with the method, it's everything that they need, and there's another extreme where it is terrible, different side effects and all sorts. The most important thing in terms of making your decision is being aware of how the method works, being aware of the potential side effects and how they can balance with yourself as a person. So this is an injection method that's given either into the upper arm or into the buttock, or there's a self-administered one that you can give yourself, and that can sometimes be given under the skin of the tummy as well. So it's an injection that's taken usually every 3 months, but we have different brands. So there's some that you get every 3 months, there are others that you can get every 8 weeks. So the bottom line is that you have a contraceptive method where you don't have to worry about anything for between 8 weeks to 12 weeks, depending on the brand that you're taking. Now, so it's given into the muscle, usually of the shoulder or the bottom, or if it is the one that's given into the skin underneath the abdomen, that's called subcutaneous. So we have different types of the shot doing the same thing, containing the same drug, a big dose of progesterone. That's the Depo shot. So it's highly effective. If it is used perfectly, this method is almost 99% plus effective in terms of preventing pregnancy. But with typical use, which is when, human error potentially can come into things. For example, you forget to go for your shot on the day that you're supposed to go, or something happens, life happens, and you don't get it when you're supposed to get it. There may be a little bit of a break in terms of its protection. The effectiveness rate reduces a little, but it is still way above 95% in terms of an effective birth control method. So it's that good. But it's also got side effects. And the one that we're going to focus on in particular is the delay in return to fertility. I do a lot of side effect videos for Depo shot. I think I've got 2 or 3 on the channel. So please go and have a look at my smart birth control playlists, different live streams where we talk about that at length. Tonight, we're talking about why there is a delay in the return of your fertility. And I want to go through 2 main points or 3 main points, and then what can we do to help to improve or get fertility back as quickly as possible, given the fact that we know it's going to be delayed anyway. So the truth is that when you have the Depo shot and you stay on this method for some time, when you decide to stop it, from the time that you've had your last injection, okay, your next injection would have been due after 3 months or 8 weeks, whichever particular brand that you've used. If you do not have the next scheduled injection, okay, you are no longer covered. It is no longer a reliable method to protect you from pregnancy. Let me say that again. When you've had the last method or the last shot, when you've had the last shot of the Depo injection, okay, by the time the next shot was due, so that would be either 8 weeks or it could be 12 weeks, that is 3 months, whichever of the brands that you've got. By the time you get round to there, it is assumed that enough of the drug has left your system so that it is no longer protecting you from pregnancy. That's what I mean. And that's why we say that if you decide to stop the injection and move on to a different method, you need to make sure that method is in place as soon as possible before the next dose was due. Okay. Now, if we say that by 3 months of stopping the shot, it's no longer protecting you from pregnancy, why can't your cycle come back? Why is it still a problem? Why can't you resume your periods? The reason is, although the progesterone level in your blood and your tissues has reduced so much it cannot prevent you from falling pregnant, there's still enough of the hormone circulating in your tissues that prevents your cycle from coming back to normal and therefore delays fertility. It's as simple as that. That's the reason. The next question should be, so why does that happen? We're not 100% sure. We're still trying to work it out. In other words, studies are still going on. There's different thoughts. There may be different findings when they do the studies. It is still not something that we're 100% sure of. But here are a few points I want to share with you. And I will put the link to the papers in the description box later on after this live stream so that you can go and do your own reading and research as well. So first, okay, it might have something to do with weight, body weight. That is your weight and how progesterone is metabolized or broken down in your system, okay? So it might have something to do with body weight. And what the studies suggest is that women who are heavier tend to experience the delay in return of fertility more than those who are lighter, okay? So we've established a few things. That one, when you've had your last injection and you get to the point after 3 months when you should be able to fall pregnant because you've not taken any more of the drug. It should have come out of your system. Yes, some of it has come off, enough to prevent you, enough to not make this a good birth control or reliable birth control method anymore, but there's still lingering amount in your tissues that prevents your cycle from coming back to normal. That's why there's a delay. This finding is more likely to happen in a woman who is overweight or who is heavier compared to her lighter or slimmer counterparts. Okay, so that's one thing to think about. That's the first point I wanted you to take away when it comes to why there's a delay. The second point has to do with the different types of injections, and that's why I emphasize that you have different types. You can have it given into the muscle, okay, or underneath the skin. The second finding is that women who use the subcutaneous type, or the subcutaneous injection, that is the one that you can give yourself or goes under the skin, tend to experience less delay in return of their fertility compared to those who use their injection. Now, you might argue that it may have something to do with the amount of the hormone that's given in the muscle, in the intramuscular jab, compared to the subcutaneous jab. It may have something to do with that. The bottom line is that there may still be a lot of circulating progesterone in the tissues, such that even after it appears to have worn off 3 months after you finish taking it, there is still enough in your tissues to affect your cycle. It's not enough to protect you from pregnancy, but it's enough to affect your cycle. That's the thinking. This is what we think. And again, if you're just joining the stream, hi, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. We are addressing a question. Let me share it again so that it's not something that's sort of strange and you can relate to what I'm talking about. One of my viewers sent in this question. I got my last Depo shot on the 1st of June, 2022. Still waiting for cycles to return. I'd love to know why there's still a delay after the hormone itself has left the body after 6 months. Okay, so even though the hormone apparently has left the body because you've not had it for 6 months, yeah, enough of it has left the body to protect you from pregnancy, yes, but there's still some lingering in your tissue. And I've explained that that could be because of the way that we metabolize, break down progesterone. Some of us may do it more effectively, more efficiently than others. Perhaps studies think it may have to do with the weight, and suggest that women who are on the bigger side tend to experience more of a delay than women who are lighter. The other thing that studies have suggested is that it could have something to do with the type of the Depo shot. It's the same progesterone, but it's the way that we're giving, the way that you're taking it, and that people who use the intramuscular one tend to have more problem with delay in return of their fertility. So these are the 2 points I really wanted to make sure that women asking these questions are aware of, are informed of, and that would, I think, help understand how it works, why it works the way it does. There's one other point, and I think it's really important to make this point. It does not matter how long you've been on the Depo shot. I know it may sound unusual, may sound strange. It doesn't matter how long you've been on the Depo shot. I know you want to hear that, well, if I've been on the Depo shot for 3 years, that is why my periods are delayed compared to somebody who's only been on it for 6 months. The studies don't support that. What I mean is that you may just have taken 2 doses, 2 shots, and then you think, right, I don't want to have this anymore. I would like to try for a baby. You can still experience that delay the same way that somebody who's had it for 3 years or 5 years or whatever can experience a delay. Really important to have that at the back of our minds. Now, hi, if you're just joining, thank you so much. Welcome to 30 Minutes with Dr. Sylvia. We're talking about Depo shot. We're looking at this really important side effect that causes so much angst and consternation. Why? Even though the hormone, I've stopped taking it 6 months ago, but why am I still not able to fall pregnant? What is the reason? What is behind it? So we've talked about this, and we have looked at 2 possible reasons why it might happen. If you're watching this on the replay, please let me know what you think about this, what your experience with the Depo has been. Don't forget to like the video and, of course, to subscribe to the channel. I want to look at the second half of this question, which I think is also very, very important. Apart from understanding what is going on with this injection, is there anything that you can do while you're waiting? Is there anything you can do to make the whole thing go quicker? It's a tricky one. I think the answer to that is perhaps not much, because how much can you push your body? Basically, what we're trying to do is to get your natural hormones back into a rhythm, a regular rhythm that supports ovulation. That's basically what we're trying to do. And so, if we can manage to get everything that is related to your natural hormone balance, if you can get everything that affects that working properly, then you should be able to get your fertility going quicker. Yes? Yes. Okay, so there are a few things that you could do to help, and I'm sure you know some of them already. The first one I'm going to touch on, of course, is diet. That's the first one I'm going to touch on. And remember that it's more than one thing that affects your hormone balance. Okay, so don't focus on one and forget the other. I'm going to look at just 3 or 4 or 5 things. All of them have to be in place. You have to be focusing on all of these things to make sure that your natural hormone balance returns as quickly as possible. Diet. The important thing is about eating a well-balanced, moderate, and healthy diet. So it's got to be all the food groups involved. Try to avoid particularly saturated fats, processed foods. Try as much as you can to increase foods like fruits and vegetables in your diet, foods that will give good antioxidant that have good antioxidant profiles that will help to reduce inflammation. So we're talking about nuts and legumes, healthy oils like olive oils, fish, moderate amounts of red meats, all these types of foods that would help to restore a natural balance. But also important are supplements. Supplements, for example, zinc, supplements like magnesium, vitamins like vitamin B6. Now, you probably are able to get these in a diet that is filled with a rich variety of different vegetables and fruits and what do you call them, grains and legumes and all that. It's likely you're going to get them from that. But for some people whose diet is not, who are not able to get as much as they need from their diet, you can look at getting tablets, oral supplements of zinc or magnesium, vitamin B6. Okay, so that's something that you might want to look at your diet. Really scrutinize what you're eating, on a day by day, week by week basis, and check: are you really getting a good amount of nutritious food? Because these can help in terms of removing any type of inflammation or any type of diet, foods that promote inflammation that can affect your natural hormone balance. So that's diet. That's number one. Number two, stress. Stress. Not only are you stressing about when are my periods going to come back, but you might be stressing about everything else or other things, maybe work related. It might be related with caring for somebody else or children and all sorts of things that are going on around us. It's a stressful world that we live in. But the bottom line is, we know that stress contributes to a disruption of your natural hormone pattern, the rhythm that needs to be established and in place for you to menstruate and ovulate normally. So it's important that you're looking at whatever measures that will suit you, that work for you, whether it is yoga, whether it is gentle exercise like walking or swimming, or practicing mindfulness using one of the apps like Calms, for example, to set aside time on your own where you're just relaxing, chilling, taking your feet off the floor, lying back and just being in a space where your energy is being rejuvenated, where you're not sort of feeling overwhelmed and rushing from one activity to the other, month after month, week after week, day after day. Stress, that needs to be addressed as well. Related to that is sleep. And I put sleep separate from stress because I wanted to emphasize how important it is to make sure that your natural sleep pattern is in place, it's working properly. What do I mean by that? The obvious ways that your sleep pattern is disrupted, for example, when you travel and experience jet lag, or if you're like me and you're working night shifts, you do a couple of night shifts a week, that can disrupt your sleeping pattern. But not having a regular bedtime pattern, lying in bed and using the phone and allowing the blue light from phones and televisions to affect you, not setting a proper bedtime routine or pattern could Simple things that we all do. I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure that there are many people listening or watching me who also sort of lie in bed and sort of drift off with the phone. Such things, because you're not having a regular pattern of sleep, even though you're not jet lagged, even though you're not shift working, it could affect your hormone balance. And the reason for this is because we think that it has to do with the control of all these hormones that are produced in the pituitary gland in your brain, and hormones that regulate them, the hypothalamus, that are formed in the hypothalamus. We think that this can have something to do with the balance of these hormones. So if these hormones are out of balance, the ones produced in the hypothalamus, which are supposed to regulate the ones produced by the pituitary gland, which in turn go on to produce the ones in the ovaries, if there is any balance, if any of these is out of balance, it can affect menstruation. While we're not 100% sure how sleep and your rhythm is associated with this, we do know that there can be some effect. And so if you're looking at how can I get my fertility to return back to normal, you will not be helping yourself if you're starving yourself of sleep, if work or worry or something else means that you're not getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep regularly per day or per night. If your sleep is being disrupted for some reason or the other, all these things could contribute to the disruption of your natural hormone balance, okay? Because it would affect the hormones in your brain, the regulatory hormones, and that filters down to the hormones that your ovary produces, which is what happens when you ovulate, and which is what happens when you menstruate. So those are that's sleep in itself is so important in terms of helping you get back to your natural rhythm. So we've talked about diet, we've talked about stress, we've talked about sleep, and what else are we going to talk about? Really, those are the key things. In terms of diet, I've mentioned the healthy foods, I've mentioned supplements, that's really important. Avoiding stress, looking for things to intentionally looking for ways to make sure that you avoid stress, what kind of work that you're doing, what kind of job that you're doing that may be sapping your energy, affecting you, looking at ways to remove those triggers in terms of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. And then, of course, activity. If you're someone who's keen to exercise, it doesn't have to be anything that's strenuous. Moderate, as long as it's regular, as long as it's something that could be relaxing. Some people are into yoga, that's fine. Some people swim. Get into something that just helps to keep you in a regular frame of mind, that keeps you at a nice healthy weight, that allows you to avoid inflammatory foods that trigger inflammation in your diet. Get into that kind of pattern while you're waiting for the effects, for your body to do its job in breaking down and getting rid of the rest of the progesterone from the shot, getting it out of your system, and preparing your body for when it's going to menstruate and ovulate. So this is how I would recommend, or these are the things I would recommend that you do. If you are concerned about the Depo, you've stopped it, you've not seen your cycle, you're wondering when it's going to come back, it is going to come back. And if I didn't mention it already, I'm sorry. It is going to come back. There is no evidence that the Depo shot will ever permanently affect fertility. We don't have any of that evidence. It does come back. For majority of women, within the first 6 to 12 months, they get their cycles back. They're able to fall pregnant. It is true. It may be longer for some women, and I have done a video on that as well in the channel, talked about the things around that. The other thing I want to mention before I close is that if you haven't seen your period, and I would say it is reasonable that if you haven't seen your period after 6 to 9 months of stopping the Depo, so for 9 months you haven't seen a period, you're following what we've just suggested: a healthy diet, a healthy approach to life, avoiding stress, optimizing your nutrients, cutting down on processed foods, and you're doing all of these things and there is no sign of your period, it is reasonable to sit down and have a chat with your doctor, because we do know that there are other things that may cause absent periods, that is amenorrhea, and we don't want to ignore those things because we are waiting for the cycle to return after taking the Depo. So you can have a sit-down discussion with your doctor, figure out if it's reasonable to wait a bit longer or to start doing tests to look at alternative reasons why you have not got your periods. So I thought it was really important for us to talk about this. Again, it came as a question from one of my viewers, and I want to say thank you to the and I want to say thank you so much to the viewer who put that question forward. Really interesting question. I have answered her privately, and I hope that if she comes across this video as well, she gets a lot more information from it. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you're watching on the replay, I hope this is useful to you. I hope it answers the question. Drop a line in the comment section. Let me know about your experience with the Depo shot, how things went. What do you think about these studies that suggest the effect with women who are on the larger side compared to women who are lighter when it comes to delay in the return of fertility? What do you think about the effect of the injection, that is the intramuscular injection, compared to the subcutaneous injection that goes under the skin? What do you think? Is that consistent with your experience? I would love to know what you think in the comment section. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please send a question in to me if you want me to tackle one of these in another 30 minutes with Dr. Sylvia next time. Just send a question in. I would usually pick up the ones that look interesting, or that I think other people, if I get a few questions like that and I think other people will benefit from this. But don't worry, if you do have a question and it's not covered in a 30 minutes with Dr. Sylvia, you can use my email information service. That is still there. You can get a one-on-one interaction with me, whatever the problem is, and we can tackle it together. Okay, guys, Happy New Year again. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again soon. Bye, guys. Take care.